As much as I'm ashamed to say it, I've spent over 1,000 hours on the classic Modern Warfare 3. Some people might hear that and think it's crazy, but if you were a part of that time, you get it. Although it was sort of a copy and paste from MW2, it was still new, and the new yearly Call of Duty that came out every year was exciting at that time, whether it was sort of mid or good or bad. So today, I'm going to go back and look at why MW3, the classic one, is so memorable. Now, of course, the majority of my hours were put into multiplayer, just like the rest of the community. No one was really putting 1,000 hours into the MW3 campaign. I believe this might have been one of the first Call of Duties to have a level cap of 80, so it felt crazy, it felt different. Everything was a lot more fast-paced than the older games, I think personally. And the maps were actually quite memorable. I'm playing them back today, and although there was a string of bad ones, I got a string of good ones, and I just didn't want to jump off because I kept getting good ones. You know, Hard Hat, Village, Dome, Mission, Terminal, although it's a recreation, still good. And of course, if you've watched all my other videos, I'm more of a sniper, and pretty much all the snipers in this game were good and usable. It wasn't easy to hit clips, but it was fun hitting clips. It was a lot better than Black Ops 1. We played Black Ops 1 and we're just missing shots because they screwed up the snipers. This was classic. This was good. Trick shotting, on the other hand, not too good. You could barely even white. Classes in general were a lot more customizable. I felt like there was one of the most simplified options that we've ever had in Call of Duty. And they introduced something called the support package, where you don't have to get regular kill streak, sort of help the noobs out. You know, you could die and then keep going. But that was sort of mid kill streaks, you know, nothing crazy. They also had the specialist package, which was crazy. It made you feel like a god. Every 2 or 3 kills, I think, you get an extra perk. You hit 8 kills or 9 kills, you get all the perks. Now, there was the classic kill streaks, you know, classic Modern Warfare kill streaks, very, very, very similar to MW2. Instead of the tactical nuke this time, there was something called a Moab. Same. New name, same. I was looking at my stats before, and my highest kill streak on MW3 with all these hours was 24. I must have been gutted when I was a kid to miss out on that 25th kill and get that Moab. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like this might have been one of the first CODs to bring weapon levels. You could level them all the way up to 30, and then that last level took ages to get to 31, and then you would get gold. The gold looked kind of good, kind of gross. Not as good as Black Ops 1, but better than some of the ones we would get in the future. Most importantly though, MW3 wasn't about the game itself. It was the community around it. You know, every year you'd have a community, and I would always use the pinnacle of the community as FaZe, especially as a sniper. You know, FaZe Clan was everywhere, posting montages, landing impossible shots, but they actually sort of ended up going back to MW2. They sort of neglected MW3 a little bit. Of course, they hit stuff when the new COD comes out, but they slowly just let it slide. Not too sure who blew up around this time, but the first person that comes to my mind is FaZe Blue. I remember he went crazy. Instead of just hitting quad feeds, you could hit what is called a multi, where you do kills so quickly that your points stack. Kind of like COD 4. A lot of people just didn't like MW3 because they said it was too similar to MW2. Not necessarily a bad thing, not necessarily a good thing. Another game that I barely played, well, game mode that I barely played, was Spec Ops. I'm not sure if you guys played it. It was sort of their take on zombies, you know, nothing crazy. I'm not going to go too deep into that because I feel like no one really played it like that. But yeah, just in general, man, 1,000 hours on this game. It sounds like a lot, but looking back on it, it was kind of worth it. Like, I remember the late nights with the boys, kicking back. I remember my Monster Energy addiction came out around this time. They even had the cans with the camo and the codes. That was revolutionary. Like, every game is partnering with food these days. But yeah, just getting lost in the moment, kicking it with the boys. This was my first time having a monitor. I went from a TV to a monitor, and damn, I felt it. Like, I used to play Xbox in the main room, and then I finally brought it over to my bedroom with the monitor, and damn. MW3 was a moment in time for a lot of us. It was one of the best. Not the best, but it was one of the best. Let me know if you guys played MW3 like that. I don't know who's got 1,000 hours. And I'll quickly touch on the campaign. The campaign was cool. There was a lot of action, a lot of massive set pieces, like the fucking Eiffel Tower got blown up. That's kind of crazy. I don't think they would get away with that sort of thing these days. Another odd note, the ghillie suits. I fucking love the ghillie suits. They're one of the coolest things. And back then, when there was no operators, your soldier would represent what type of weapon you're using. So if you're using a regular assault rifle, you'd just be a regular guy. But if you used a sniper, you'd be in a ghillie. That was the coolest thing ever. It's interesting how people say that classic MW3 was just more of same. because the new age MW3 that came out last year is exactly it's the exact same situation. It's just sort of more of same. Obviously, Infinity Ward went on to make Ghost, which they tried to spin it up, and a lot of people didn't like. You can check out my old video that I did on Ghost. I actually liked Ghost. Back at the time, I didn't really like it, but looking back, I liked it. This game just felt very dusty. Like, not in terms of gameplay or anything like that, but like visually, this game is very dusty. Classic 360 era, where it's just everything sort of drawn out, greys and browns, and each map would sort of have its own unique hue to it. Another thing I love, the MP7. Now, I didn't record any gameplay of the MP7, but if you remember this MP7 where it was just the classic square iron sight, something about that felt so good, and even the developers thought so, that they ended up putting an MP7 type beat in every Call of Duty past that point. I went to play private match. There's no bots. It's kind of odd. So it took me a minute to find a game, especially in Australia. I would like to just jump on with bots and just slay them, but no option there. But I've been loving jumping on the older CODs, and this one is very, not forgetful. It's up there in one of the better ones, but it's fun to jump on the ones that you don't remember heavy. I remember Black Ops 1, MW2, Black Ops 2, heaps. Games like Ghost, MW3, they're sort of forgotten, and they're good to jump on and just be like, oh shit, I remember this. I remember what I was doing, how old I was. I remember a lot of trolling videos came out around this era. The Jewel World, what were they called? FM95s, I don't know, but you whip out this gun and they're two guns, I don't know. I'm sort of just rambling, man, but I just wanted to embarrassingly say that I've got more than 1,000 hours on this game. I don't regret it. I think 1,000 hours is kind of excessive, especially because it got me nowhere. I was probably trying to join FaZe back then. 1,000 hours did not get me that. I don't even think I hit any good clips on this. I think I remember making shit montages that barely even had quad feeds in them. I remember the throwing knives were pretty cool. A lot of people hitting cross-map throwing knives. But overall, this game was cool. If you haven't played it in a minute, you should definitely jump on. Definitely give it a little spin. Pray you get Hard Hat or Dome or one of the good-ass maps. The map design was actually quite nice. It wasn't a classic 3-lane system that we'd see in new games and the Black Ops games. But there was a central point. Every map sort of had a central point where you'd find everyone just converging. And that made it very good. That made it fun, especially for hitting clips, especially for sniping. I remember the game mode that they brought out, Drop Zone. That was crazy for sniping. It even got to a point where Drop Zone clips were unusable because it was potentially too easy. Of course, you have the classic ACR, very, very similar to the MW2 one, just dominated. If you want a normal AR, perfect. This was actually the first COD that introduced Kill Confirmed. I remember even seeing the trailer for it and thinking that's a great idea, and little did you know, that game mode was brought out in every COD after that. A lot of CODs try to bring out new game modes, but none really stick, and this one did, so that's cool. Also remember, that just reminded me of Face Off. I think it was called Face Off. The 2v2s, the 1v1s on the small maps, I would stay up all night playing them. Sometimes even hoping I'd get someone that would boost with me, and I'd just put my tactical insertion on the ground, shoot up in the air, we'd both get, I think, 29 headshots each, and then boom, we've got 29 headshots that add to our camos, that add to our challenges, and then hope we just get each other in the next game. Prestige system was classic. There was 10 at the start, and I think it might have went up to 20. I could be wrong. So yeah, I know I've talked mostly about multiplayer, but that's where my 1,000 hours have been. For me, it wasn't just the maps, the guns, the modes. It was the whole package. It was the vibe. The community, the moments, the intensity of trying to drop a mob, even though I was one away. The intensity of trying to hit clips and just join FaZe. Never joined FaZe. That's what kept me coming back. MW3 might not have been groundbreaking, but for me, it's one of the most memorable multiplayer experiences I've had, and nothing's really come close to it since. I'm sure a lot of you have your own memories about MW3, especially multiplayer. Let me hear it in the comments, and I urge you guys to jump on. Give it another try.